A lengthy legal struggle ends in victory. It began in 1995 and lasted for 15 years. During all that time, true Christians in Russia were under attack by opposers of freedom of religion. These opposers were determined to have Jehovah's Witnesses outlawed in Moscow and beyond. Even so, Jehovah saw fit to reward the integrity of our dear Russian brothers and sisters with a legal victory. What, though, led up to this confrontation? Freedom at last. During the first half of the 1990s, our brothers in Russia regained the religious freedoms that they lost in 1917. In 1991, they were registered by the government of the Soviet Union as an official religion. After the breakup of the Soviet Union, Jehovah's Witnesses were registered in the Russian Federation. Moreover, witnesses who had suffered religious persecution decades earlier were officially recognized by the state as victims of political oppression. In 1993, Moscow's Department of Justice registered the Moscow Community of Jehovah's Witnesses, as we are legally known there. That same year, Russia's new constitution, which guarantees freedom of religion, also went into effect. No wonder that one brother exclaimed, "We never even dreamed we would see such freedom." He then continued, "For 50 years we had waited for this." The brothers and sisters in Russia used that favorable season well by quickly stepping up their preaching activities, and many responded. People were deeply interested in religion, noted one observer. Before long, the number of publishers, pioneers, and congregations multiplied. In fact, from 1990 to 1995, the number of witnesses in Moscow jumped from some 300 to over 5,000. As the ranks of new servants of Jehovah in Moscow kept swelling, opposers of religious freedom became alarmed. In the mid-1990s, they attacked by instigating a legal war. That struggle would go through 4 drawn-out stages before it would finally be resolved. Criminal investigations end with a twist. The first stage of the struggle began in June 1995. A Moscow-based group that is openly aligned with the Russian Orthodox Church filed a complaint, accusing our brothers of engaging in criminal activities. The group claimed to be acting on behalf of family members who resented that their spouses or children had become witnesses. In June 1996, investigators began searching for evidence of wrongdoing, but they found none. Still, the same group filed another complaint, again accusing our brothers of criminal acts. Investigators conducted another inquiry, but all accusations were refuted. Even so, the opposers filed a third complaint based on the same charges. Again, Jehovah's Witnesses in Moscow were investigated, but the prosecutor came to the same conclusion. There were no grounds for starting a criminal case. Then the opposers filed the same complaint a fourth time, and once again the prosecutor found no evidence. Incredibly, the same group requested another investigation. Finally, on April 13, 1998, the new investigator closed the case. But then, says a lawyer involved in the case, something bizarre happened. Although the representative of the prosecutor's office that conducted this fifth investigation admitted that there was no evidence of criminal activity, she still advised that a civil suit be brought against our brothers. The representative alleged that the Moscow Community of Jehovah's Witnesses violated national and international law. The prosecutor of the Northern Administrative Circuit of Moscow agreed and filed a civil complaint. The footnote reads, "The complaint was filed on April 20, 1998. 2 weeks later, on May 5th, Russia ratified the European Convention on Human Rights." End of footnote. On September 29, 1998, hearings started in Moscow's Golovinsky District Court. The second stage had begun. The Bible in Court. In a cramped courtroom in northern Moscow, prosecutor Tatiana Kondratyeva launched the attack, using a federal law signed in 1997 that describes Orthodox Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and Buddhism as traditional religions. The same law in practice has made it difficult for other religions to obtain legal recognition. It also allows courts to ban religions that promote hatred. Using this law, the prosecutor falsely alleged that Jehovah's Witnesses promote hatred and destroy families and therefore should be banned. The footnote reads, "The law was adopted under strong pressure from the Russian Orthodox Church, which is jealously guarding its position in Russia and is eager to see a ban on Jehovah's Witnesses." Associated Press, June 25, 1999. End of footnote. A lawyer defending our brothers asked, "Who are the individuals in the Moscow congregation who are guilty of violating the law?" The prosecutor could not supply one name. She claimed, though, that the literature of Jehovah's Witnesses incites religious enmity. To prove her point, she read from the Watchtower and Awake magazines and other publications. When asked in what way these publications cause enmity, she said, "Jehovah's Witnesses teach that they have the true religion." A lawyer, one of our brothers, handed a copy of the Bible to the judge and a copy to the prosecutor, and read Ephesians 4:5. One Lord, one faith, one baptism. Before long, the judge, the prosecutor, and the lawyer, all with Bible in hand, were discussing such scriptures as John 17:18 and James 1:27. The court asked, "Do these scriptures incite religious enmity?" The prosecutor answered that she was not competent to comment on the Bible. The lawyer showed publications of the Russian Orthodox Church that severely criticized Jehovah's Witnesses and asked, "Do these statements violate the law?" The prosecutor replied, "I am not competent to comment on clerical arguments." The prosecution falters. In accusing the witnesses of destroying families, the prosecutor stated that they do not celebrate such holidays as Christmas. However, she later admitted that Russian law does not require citizens to celebrate Christmas. Russians, including Russian Witnesses of Jehovah, have a choice. The prosecutor also asserted that our organization deprives children of normal rest and emotional joys. Still, when questioned, she admitted that she had never talked to any youths raised by witness parents. When a lawyer asked the prosecutor if she had ever attended the meetings of Jehovah's Witnesses, she answered, "There was no need." The prosecution presented a professor of psychiatry as an expert witness. He alleged that reading our literature causes mental problems. When a defense lawyer noted that the professor's written statement to the court was identical to a document prepared by the Moscow Patriarchate, the professor admitted that some parts were the same, word for word. "We work from one diskette," he said. Further questioning revealed that he had never treated one of Jehovah's Witnesses. In contrast, another professor of psychiatry testified in court that he had studied more than 100 witnesses in Moscow. He found that the group possessed normal mental health, adding that the members of the group had grown more tolerant of other religions since they had become witnesses. Victory, but not final. On March 12, 1999, the judge appointed 5 academics to study the literature of Jehovah's Witnesses, and she suspended the trial. Unrelated to the Moscow trial, the Justice Ministry of Russia's federal government had already ordered a panel of academics to study our literature. This panel, commissioned by the ministry, reported on April 15, 1999, that they had found nothing harmful in our publications. So, on April 29, 1999, the Justice Ministry renewed the national registration of Jehovah's Witnesses. Even with this new positive study in hand, the Moscow court insisted that a new panel examine our literature. This caused a strange situation. Jehovah's Witnesses were recognized nationally by Russia's Ministry of Justice as an approved religion abiding by the law, but at the same time were being investigated by Moscow's Department of Justice for allegedly breaking the law. Nearly 2 years passed before the trial resumed, and on February 23, 2001, Judge Yelena Prokorycheva reached a verdict. After considering the findings of the panel that she had appointed, she ruled, "There is no basis for the liquidation and banning of the activity of the religious community of Jehovah's Witnesses in Moscow." Finally, it was legally established that our brothers were innocent of all accusations leveled against them. However, the prosecutor rejected the verdict and appealed to the Moscow City Court. 3 months later, on May 30th, 2001, that court annulled the decision of Judge Prokoricheva. It ordered a retrial to be handled by the same prosecutor but presided over by a different judge. Stage 3 was about to begin. Defeat, but not final. On October 30th, 2001, Judge Vera Dubinskaya began the retrial. The footnote reads, "Ironically, that same date marked the 10th anniversary of the passing of a law in Russia that recognized Jehovah's Witnesses as victims of religious oppression under Soviet rule." End of footnote. Prosecutor Kondratyeva rehashed the charge that Jehovah's Witnesses promote hatred. But then she added that banning the legal community of Jehovah's Witnesses was a means to protect the rights of the witnesses in Moscow. In response to that outlandish claim, all 10,000 witnesses in Moscow immediately signed a petition asking the court to reject the prosecutor's offer of protection. The prosecutor stated that there was no need for her to provide evidence to prove that the witnesses were guilty of wrongdoing. The trial, she said, was about the literature and beliefs of Jehovah's Witnesses, not their activities. She announced that she would present a spokesman of the Russian Orthodox Church as an expert witness. Of course, that announcement confirmed that members of the clergy were indeed deeply involved in the drive to ban the witnesses. On May 22, 2003, the judge ordered that a panel of experts study the publications of Jehovah's Witnesses again. On February 17, 2004, the trial resumed to review the results of the panel's study. The experts found that our publications encourage readers to preserve the family and the marriage arrangement, and that the claim that our literature promotes hatred was unsupported. Other scholars agreed. A professor of religious history was asked, "Why do Jehovah's Witnesses preach?" He answered the court, "The preaching work is a must for a Christian. That is what the gospel states, and that is what Christ commissioned his disciples to do, go and preach in all lands." Nonetheless, on March 26, 2004, the judge banned the activities of Jehovah's Witnesses